Max Verstappen faced a tough time at the Miami Grand Prix, leading to discussions with his team leaders after the race. Helmut Marko expressed ongoing concerns about the possibility of Max leaving. With attractive offers potentially on the table from Mercedes and Aston Martin, could Red Bull be heading for a major decline? More importantly, can the team do anything to persuade Max to stay? Tensions are running high within Red Bull, and while the fans might not see it, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. For instance, Max left Miami feeling far from pleased. He was quite upset about the RB21's lack of speed and braking issues. We watched him make some rare mistakes at turn 1, and unless the upcoming upgrades at Imola deliver as they should, these problems may persist. Reflecting on his challenging race, Verstappen commented that it was simply not good enough. 0% chance. Of course, I tried something with those McLarens, he said. I had nothing to lose, so I thought I'd have some fun. I couldn't get much more out of it, to be honest. The virtual safety car is just one of those things that can happen. Whether I finished in 3rd or 4th place didn't really make a difference. We've been struggling more with the brakes, so that's something we need to focus on. I struggled to keep up, and every time I tried to push harder, the tyres overheated, making it tough to attack. At one point, I just thought, forget it. I maintained a 5-second gap and decided I'd rather just head home. There's a big question hovering around whether Verstappen's exit clause will significantly impact his future. It's likely that it will, as reports suggest that the 4-time world champion might have a chance to leave the team if he is not among the top 2 or 3 drivers by the season's end. This topic is expected to heat up over the summer break, according to Marko, who also mentioned that the possibility of Max leaving is unpredictable and can't be entirely dismissed by the team. Marko emphasised that there's considerable concern about Verstappen's potential departure, and improvements need to be made soon so he can have a winning car once again. We need to build a strong foundation with our car to give him a shot at winning the World Championship. The main takeaway is that we're lagging behind. When we went all out, we found ourselves trailing by 0.7 of a second. It was the first time we witnessed the real speed gap. We urgently need to boost our performance, but it was disheartening to see just how fast the McLarens actually are. Unfortunately, Red Bull's strategy isn't very reassuring. They're well aware that the gap to the McLaren isn't something a single upgrade can fix. Helmut Marko was pressured to address whether the upgrades would close the gap with McLaren. He admitted that while it's necessary, achieving such significant progress would be challenging. The situation is clear. Verstappen is pushing the car to achieve more than it should, securing places in the front row and contending for race wins. However, after the Miami race, we might find the 2 McLaren drivers competing against each other for the top spots. We're certainly not counting Verstappen out, especially before we see the upgrades in Imola and the front wing adjustments in Barcelona. But at the moment, the McLaren has a significant edge, and Verstappen might be displeased with the current direction. If he decides it's time for a change and wants to shift his focus to a different team starting in 2026, what paths are open to him? Mercedes, with its reputation as a top-tier team, would give Verstappen access to a powerful engine, keeping his championship-winning streak alive. It's no secret that Wolff, having missed the chance to sign Verstappen once before, would be reluctant to pass up the opportunity again. Pairing Verstappen with Antonelli could create a dream team, potentially leaving Russell in a tricky spot. This possibility is why the British driver has been in conversations with Christian Horner about their future prospects. They might find themselves in scenarios beyond their control. Verstappen's interest in Mercedes combined with Mercedes' interest in him could create an unstoppable force. Meanwhile, Oliver Mintzlaff, Red Bull's managing director, has been clear about Verstappen's importance to Red Bull's future. He insists that the Dutch driver still has strong ties to the team and believes that despite current challenges, Verstappen will continue his journey with Red Bull. After all, Verstappen has a contract running through 2028, and he's expressed his long-term commitment to the team by stating that he'd like to finish his career where it all began, at Red Bull. From what I understand, nothing has really shifted in this area. We've gained a lot from having Max, who I consider the best driver globally. Yet it's undeniable that Red Bull played a big role in his success. However, it's important to recognise that Aston Martin is a serious contender, possessing key elements reminiscent of those that helped Max secure his past championship. Nui is placing all his efforts on the 2026 car, steering clear of the 2025 hurdles, while Honda is determined to influence the driver's team choices. Financially, although cash isn't Max's main draw, the prospect of $300 million over 3 years is significant. This deal could crown Verstappen as the highest paid athlete in motorsport's history. More importantly, if the buzz from Aston Martin is credible, he'll drive an exceptionally competitive car. Juan Pablo Montoya thinks it's all but certain that Verstappen will switch to Aston Martin, predicting that the offer on the table will be almost irresistible. The former F1 racer further commented that he'd be astonished to see Max with Red Bull next year, foreseeing 2 possible paths for Max's future. Is he aiming for a championship win, or is he more interested in raking in a fortune with a possibility of winning? If victory is his main goal, he should try to persuade Toto to bring him on board. However, if he's leaning towards earning big bucks with a shot at victory, teaming up with Lawrence Stroll at Aston Martin might be the move. So these choices are on the table, but is Max really ready to part ways with Red Bull after all they've accomplished together? It doesn't seem likely. Although initially, Marco thought there was a strong chance the 4-time world champ might leave the team, the dynamics have shifted a bit now. The seasoned Austrian did a complete turnaround, saying, "That's true, concerns existed, but now the worries have faded. Max has shown his loyalty and has openly pledged his commitment to Red Bull. That's the Max I see today, completely dedicated to his role here. I highly doubt he's even entertaining the idea of a change. On the contrary, I'm confident Max will stick with Red Bull in 2026. Before the season kicked off, we had a chat about what we wanted out of 2025. Everybody, Max included, agreed that the main target is to keep the championship title. That said, we can't just assume victory is guaranteed. We'll give it our all, but winning every race isn't something anyone should expect. Our aim is to secure as many points as we can, but that's easier said than done. Things seem to be spiraling out of control quicker than anticipated. This means we have to tread carefully with the whole Verstappen Red Bull narrative, especially considering Helmut Marko's comments. The seasoned Austrian often changes the storyline, and even though he's persuasive in saying Max will stay, we can't ignore his critical remarks on Red Bull's performance and what it means for the star driver's future. Adding to this, there's still friction between Jos Verstappen and Christian Horner that hasn't been resolved. They're yet to see eye to eye, and Horner's position is pretty straightforward. No driver is more important than the team, yet in circumstances like these, Max seems to be steering the ship a bit. Despite the car's pace not quite matching that of the McLarens and sometimes even the Mercedes, he manages to outperform them and stay in the running for the Drivers' Championship. Considering these factors, do you believe Verstappen might part ways with Red Bull in the 2026 season? More crucially, which team do you think is most likely to welcome him? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.